Well, good afternoon and welcome to H360 Live. My name is Courtland Long and I'm joined here in the studio today by my friend and colleague from Healthio360, Dave Duplay. How are you, Dave?
Courtland, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Exciting weekend. We were up in Purchase, New York. We got to see Dr. Weber and Cindy from the Colon Cancer Challenge Foundation. We got to see all the folks coming out and walking. It was a great event. So happy to be there.
It's always super fun to see Cindy and Dr. Weber, and they're doing some really amazing stuff with the Colon Cancer Challenge Foundation, and every year now they have a summit for early age onset, and it's really important to get those young adult cancer survivors and patients in the conversation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're right in the height of our walk season.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago we had 4 walks over the weekend. That was really exciting. But the weekend before that, we were out at the Multiple Sclerosis Walk in Manhattan, and it's so good to see year after year this walk really picking up a lot of momentum and a lot of people coming out. The weather was great, and you could just see, again, year over year, the crowd increasing and everybody coming out raising a lot of money and building awareness for MS.
It's always a fun walk. It's in a great location, and at these events we always have the opportunity to meet some really amazing people who are very inspirational, and at the MS Walk we met someone really special.
Very special. We met David Osmond from the famed Osmond family. Courtland, he is such an inspiration and a real ambassador speaking out for MS.
He really is, and we were able to meet with him and talk with him and get him to come on the show. And it was really exciting to have an interview with David Osmond here. And his story is really quite unique. They say that lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice, but in fact, with the Osmond family, it has done so many times. Everybody is so musically talented in the Osmond family. And David's father, Alan Osmond, is the brother of Donnie and Marie Osmond, and he actually also has MS.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And to hear David talk, he was really devastated when he was diagnosed with MS. You can imagine one day, you're on the biggest stage performing, singing. He's a singer-songwriter. He's been on Broadway. He's been in some movies. And then all of a sudden, the next day, you find yourself in a wheelchair, diagnosed with MS. And you run through all the emotions, right? From, no, this isn't what I have, and disbelief, to all of a sudden having to come to grips with the diagnosis and then figure out how you're going to go forward. And he's done that brilliantly.
Yes, in our interview he talks a lot about going through all those emotions and how he uses song and performing to really motivate him to get up every day and try to inspire so many other people.
Yeah, he really does use music as a way of motivation, right, and support. And he does such a great job at it. But it just goes to show you that these diseases, they don't discriminate. So you could be rich, poor, you could be famous, not famous, and you get this diagnosis, and it kind of really levels the playing field. And so you have to figure out how you're going to make your way through it and how you're going to go on and live life. But Courtland, there's some statistics about MS that I want to share with our community before we get into watching the interview that we did with David. In the United States, between 350,000 and 500,000 people have been diagnosed with MS. That's a pretty big number there. MS is at least 2 to 3 times more common in females than in males, and about 1/2 to 2/3 of the people diagnosed with MS are not severely affected by the disease. 7 out of 10 remain able to walk and don't need the assistance of a wheelchair. So those are really big numbers, and to have an ambassador, a celebrity ambassador like David, who has lived through it and able to talk about it and make music around it and bring happiness and joy and support to other people is really fantastic.
Yeah, he really has come back from his diagnosis of MS. As you said, when his condition was onset, it was really very severe. He was in a wheelchair for a while, and multiple sclerosis does greatly affect people's ability to walk. And that's why I think going to the MS Walk is so fun and so inspiring, because you see all these people who have this one day where they're able to walk, and they really get out there and they try to do it to the best of their ability.
Yeah. you're so right. And you know, it was really nice to see the weather really cooperated, and it was a very warm day. And so it was great to see the people out there and all the teams and their shirts and their cheers and support for each other. It's really fantastic. And then, you know, David gets up and speaks at the event, and you know, it just puts it over the top.
It really is over the top, much like our interview that we did with David and his little performance that he gave on camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, we got to do the orange emoji, which was really cool. So we drew some faces. You're going to see that here in the video soon. We got to draw some faces on some oranges, and that was really cool. And
Yeah.
yours was really great. I got to tell you, what an artist you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it looked fantastic, and it looked just like you. It had glasses and long hair. It's really cool, and that was great. And then to hear the song that he wrote, which you'll see here in a minute, was really nice, and it was inspired by his grandfather, is what he said.
Yes, well, I think we should, you know, get to the interview so everyone can see the song. That's so good.
Yeah, so without further ado, we're going to watch the interview that we did last week with David when he came into our offices and into the studio with us. So we hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you right after the interview. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us today on H360 Live. We have so many members who we know are going to be very inspired to hear from one of the MS community's most dedicated ambassadors. So can we start everything off today with you telling us a little bit about your genealogy and what it was like to grow up in the spotlight?
You bet. It's going to take a couple hours to get through it. Just
We
so
got
you're aware.
time.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for having me, first of all. This is really cool. I'm learning about you guys. This year we met at a walk for multiple sclerosis, and I'm really inspired by what you guys do. So thank you for having me and helping us spread the good word about what is happening in the world of MS. My name is David Osmond. I come from the performing Osmond family, and it's a large family. And of course, Donnie and Marie, everybody knows that. You're old enough to know them. You're not. But they're a performing family that have been performing a long time, about 58 years.
Wow.
And my dad is Donnie and Marie's older brother, and he is the oldest of the performing brothers. And kind of the songwriter, leader of the group, the producer of the Donnie and Marie shows, and just an amazing guy, an entertainer that I thought, hey, every kid's dad does this. It's called show business.
Yeah.
And I fell into the family business, I guess, and been performing since I was just a wee lad, and been doing it my whole life. And music is the way that I communicate, and I'm just passionate about it. I love it, and so I've been fortunate to do so since I was a kid.
So now the Donnie and Marie, their show is still going. #1 show in Vegas right now.
Can you believe
They're
that?
still
Yeah.
going
That's
strong.
insane.
And you know, their songs never get old. They're relevant today. They were relevant when I heard them.
You mean you listen to Puppy Love every day?
Puppy Love? I did every day. In more
Great
ways than one,
songs.
let me tell you.
There were some great songs, and my dad wrote a rockin' tune that was it's noted as one of the best rock and roll songs, having influenced Ozzy Osbourne and so many other rockers, called Crazy Horses.
Yeah.
I'm like, my dad was a rocker. That's so cool. But these songs have withstood the test of time. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going back, if you could pick one or two memories that really are your fondest, what would those be?
And just in the Osmond family.
Absolutely.
Oh boy. You know what I loved were the holidays,
Yeah.
and it was. We had to take shifts to go see my grandparents because there's so many Osmonds, and I'm one of like 58 cousins.
Wow.
Right, and so we literally had an hour each family to go visit my grandparents because if we all converged, it was like an atom bomb. But when we did get together, and we would all the time, it was just a party. We'd have so much fun, and it's loud and boisterous and boisterous literally because there's way more boys than girls in my cousins. There's out of the 57, 58 of us, there's only 11 girls.
Wow.
So a lot of boys.
Yeah.
And so we were just rough and tumbling, and I have 7 brothers, no sisters, so you can imagine the holidays. It was crazy.
Now, where do you fall in line?
Number 4 out of the 8.
Okay.
And me and my
all right.
3 older brothers, growing up, we were a barbershop quartet, just
Wow.
like my dad
That
and
is
his
so
brothers.
cute.
Because we thought, hey, every kid's dad does this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we love music, so my dad saw the passion. And he taught us the same routines, the same songs from back to the Andy Williams shows in the 60s. And those are the routines we did, and that started a snowball. Bob Hope actually discovered us as little kids, put us on his Christmas shows, and it kept going from there. We eventually evolved into pop music, became a boy band, We used to tour with the New Kids on the Block, and I mean, it was that era, you know? And it just went from there. And since then, I got opportunities to do a lot of solo stuff. I became Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat show, took over for Donnie, actually, the Andrew Lloyd Webber show, and did that for 5 years, and had opportunities to just keep doing music in many different forms. We even had our own performance theater in Branson, Missouri, where my brothers and I and the Osmond brothers would perform together for years and years, 2 shows a day. And so it was always music going on. And I've been very fortunate to be able to have done so. But part of what we're going to talk about today is how there came a time when I was forced to leave the stage. I wasn't able to do it anymore.
Well, David, we also know, in addition to music and performing, running in your family, your father was diagnosed with MS.
Yeah, he was.
A while back. So what was it like for you and your family when he was diagnosed?
You know, I was such a small kid. I was in the 80s, and I've only known my dad to have this thing called multiple sclerosis. And he'd never heard of it. When he was first diagnosed, it was the new term for him. And he goes, just joking, he's like, well, what is that, many sons? Yeah, I know I got it. But he learned what that was, but I don't think as a boy I grasped what the central nervous system is, what is an autoimmune. I don't know those things. I just know that this is stopping my dad from moving. And to see the pain of that, because this was his lifeblood. This is what he'd done since he was a little boy. But when he couldn't move his fingers as fast on the trumpet, and he couldn't make the guitar chords, and he started tripping on stage and dropping his mic and losing these instruments, I saw how hard that was. I could see it. However, that being said, he's always told me since I was a little boy, he says, you know what, David? I may have MS, but MS does not have me. And he doesn't say it like it's a bumper sticker. He means it. To date, after almost 30 years, I have never heard my dad complain one time about his struggle. And though he's not on stage anymore because he can't physically perform, he is the most uber optimistic, positive force I've ever met in my life. And having a dad that gave me that example and set that bar, man, what a gift, you know, especially for later on what I was about to go through.
You know, we see a lot about, you know, music is a great healer, and it cuts across internationally, right?
Right.
And
no, you're right. Music's the international language.
It really is.
It is a medium of communicating, inspiring, and touching the soul. To me, music's what feelings sound like. You're absolutely right.
And how do you think about your music in terms of not only MS, but inspiring people and giving them hope?
To me, it's how I communicate, and it's such a powerful medium. I have to use it. And to explain why it means so much more to me now than ever before. I lost it because I physically wasn't able to do music anymore. 10 years ago, I remember doing a show on Christmas Eve 2005. And I took my shoes off after, it was like 2 in the morning after the performance. And I was dating my wife at the time. I remember turning to her and saying, Valerie, something's really wrong with my feet. It felt like a steamroller was crushing my feet. And it was a pain I never experienced. And I brushed it off because I'm in my mid-20s, I'm invincible, and you know, I didn't think twice about it. I need more sleep. Fast forward a few months, that pain moved up to my chest, and it was constant. Hit my hands, my eyesight started to diminish. I started slowing down and tripping and falling, and believe it or not, after a few short months, from the chest down, I couldn't move, and I was in a wheelchair. Music's done. I can't get on stage. I can't perform. I can't even hold my guitar. And I don't know what I was going to do. And I'm dating this girl that we knew we wanted to get married. We knew we wanted a family. And I proposed to her from that wheelchair. And she said yes, in sickness and health. Man, you can't describe that. And the miracle that I'm living, because I still have MS. But it doesn't have me. And to have a support and a love and a family that's gotten behind me to inspire me and help me to keep going has been a huge factor for me. Because I have relapsing MS. It's a different form of MS than my dad. His is primary progressive. And I thought when I was first diagnosed, I'm in my chair, and when they said the words multiple sclerosis, like many people, I had anger and I had a lot of fear, frustration, disappointment. But more so than anything, it was denial. And I told the doctors, I said, no, I don't. I thought I was an expert on this. I grew up with what was called MS in my mind.
Yeah.
How can I be worse off and in a wheelchair in a matter of months than my dad had been in decades?
Right.
That didn't make sense to me. So I thought they got it wrong. And I had to be humbled and educated on what was really going on. And I learned that each one of us is affected very differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the presentation of your multiple sclerosis was pretty severe. You know, you're in a wheelchair almost right away. How did you turn that around into an inspirational journey and develop a positive mindset on it?
Well, honestly, it took me a while to really get the drive. And I think that denial just helped me go for a while. I was kind of coasting. And I was doing things that I felt I was doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing enough, I'm fine. As I learned more about what's going on in the world of multiple sclerosis and the advancements, I realized, man, there's so much more I can be doing for myself. I have to be my own advocate. I have to take action. And that's why I'm encouraging people to not make those mistakes I did at the beginning. But the sooner you do something, the better off you will be. Yeah. We know that. And that's why I want to encourage people through my music and otherwise, and sharing my story. Mm-hmm. It has taken a while, and each day's a battle, certainly. Yeah. But I've teamed up with some great friends of mine at Novartis Pharmaceuticals Corporation to launch a campaign, an educational patient campaign that we call it Our Voice in Song. I love that because of the power of music, right?
Yeah.
And we launched a website, ourvoiceinsong.com, that you get lots of resources and tools, and I share my story and things you can utilize, hopefully, to help you along, and let's learn from each other. But I also use music on that site, which is great.
Yeah.
So going back, you get the diagnosis, you run through all the emotions. Yeah. Right, disbelief, you know it's not me, how I'm young, what's going on here, right? And then you have to come to grips with reality. And so you start doing your research and you start digging in. What were some of the major lifestyle changes that you had to undergo or you decided to undergo after your diagnosis?
For me, the first thing I started with, because I again, a lot of fear of just making the wrong choice or didn't know what, because you go online and you can just get bombarded with every opinion, which way or the other.
You are singing our song today.
Holy cow.
No pun intended.
Yeah. There you go. Find your village and the people you trust. Go to the people that truly know, the specialists, the people who have been educated and learned, and that make you feel good. Not the Debbie Downers and the negative side of things, but find the positive spirit. For me, to answer your question, I learned more about how my body felt than I ever did when I didn't have MS. I learned more about how the body functions, how nutrition is key to whether you're sick or not, garbage in, garbage out. I completely reformed my diet during that stage, almost way too dramatically. And I learned what was a good balance for me. I did a lot of supplementation, and I kept it at that. I felt good about that, and I was fearful of doing certain things, when it came to whether it was therapies and whatnot, and I was, trying to understand what would be best. But ultimately, working closely with my neurologist and doing what we both felt was the right thing, the most comfortable thing. For me, I also added an oral therapy for myself. But like I said, each person with MS is affected very differently, and the course of action therefore needs to be taken differently. So that's why I'm encouraging people, go to your physicians, go to the people who have the information that you can really rely on, and find out and ask those hard questions, but do something. Because we have answers now more than ever before, and that's awesome. Yeah. From when my dad was diagnosed to where we're at now, man, it's snowballing like crazy. That's awesome. It's not the disease that gets you down.
That's right.
It's the lack of hope.
Right.
And there's more hope to be had nowadays than ever before.
Yeah.
So you've made quite the recovery. What were some of the treatments that were involved in helping you to get out of the wheelchair?
Initially, at my onset, my neurologist calls, says you're in critical condition, and I'd been in the chair for quite a while, and we got the answers that this is relapsing MS. the first thing I went on was a powerful steroid. And I'm not a neurologist, I'm not a doctor, so I can't speak authoritatively to what's right for everybody. But I worked closely with her to see what would be the best steps and what I was comfortable with at the time. And I changed a lot of diet and nutrition, things like that to start with. And then over time, working closely with her again, adding the disease-modifying therapy, which has been great for me. And it's a day-to-day journey. I don't have all the answers, but I'm finding what works for me. And the fact that we have options to do nowadays for MS, I've heard many neurologists say, this is not your mother's MS, in the sense that we've come so far in the answers that we do have. And so there's a lot of things we can. So seek those answers out. Yeah. Coming to this site, going to your doctors, do something. And I commend everybody that's even searching for those answers to not live in the shadows, and grabbing those reins and making a difference for yourself is really commendable.
Now, David, you come bearing gifts, oranges, as a matter of fact. So what is up with the oranges here?
This is really different. It's pretty cool. Along with the Our Voice and Song campaign, and the MS Foundation, which is a great foundation doing immense positive work for those living with
we're
MS.
Big supporters.
Support and resources. We launched what's called Orange Moji. Okay, this is kind of different.
Orange emoji. Is
Orange
like
emoji.
Or?
Emoji, right?
Okay.
I love emojis.
Do you?
Yes.
Every text you send an emoji.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the fastest growing language, right? And so we thought, hey, let's use that emotion, the emojis, to be able to convey our feelings about what MS is to us as individuals. And orange is the color of MS, right? So I'm encouraging people go get an orange, and draw on there an emoji, a face. Okay. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your loved one that has MS, or a statement, whatever. This is either me or this is Donnie. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. But take a picture of it. We're social creatures, right? We're online right now. And go to that website. You can upload your picture, ourvoiceandsong.com. And as an MS community, let's make more images like this to raise awareness about what MS is to us and what that means. And then while you're there on the site, I want to let you know, as I said, music's my medium. There's a free song. It's a free download of a song that I wrote about living with relapsing MS. And I wanted to do a song that's positive. It's not a sad, sappy song. It's something that'll drive you. You want to get out of your chair and dance and feel good about. Yep. And that's what this song is. It's yours. It's free. Download it. Hope you enjoy it. And then upload your orange emoji. I'd love to see it from the whole MS community.
Okay, so what do you think?
Dude!
There's my emoji right there.
Now who is that?
It's you, actually.
Huh? Dude,
well, wait a
minute. You got to get some hair on that.
I was going to say, I got to give a...
Nice.
Put a little...
Dude, and I got a smile, of course.
Absolutely. I made mine female.
Oh, cute. And you got glasses. That's you, right?
Heck yeah.
Lovely. Now, you take a picture, put it in a fun location, or whatever you want to do with it, but upload it, share it, and tell us how you're feeling about MS. And let's make some more noise. MS Awareness, World MS Day is coming up, and it's an international problem. There's millions of people living with MS.
Truly.
And it's a big problem.
Yeah.
But there are big answers coming and solutions that we're getting.
Well, before we say goodbye, I noticed you brought your guitar as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we can get a live version.
You gonna sing for
here. Well, I do sing actually. If I knew the
do
words,
you really?
I would sing along.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would sing along.
Well, if you download it and it's free, you can learn it, and then when you come to one of the walks or wherever else we're at, come sing it with me, man.
Absolutely. But would you play for us today?
I'd love to. I feel compelled to. Over time, and it's taken a while. Each day is a totally different day. I get it, and it's not easy. Life isn't easy. Life's tough.
Yeah.
But so are you. So you be tough right back. You know, that's the message of this. That we may have MS, but it doesn't have us.
Yeah.
And this song was inspired by my grandpa. He was a tough guy, drill sergeant in the Army.
Oh.
And he told me as a kid, and as he put his hands on my shoulders, he'd say, "David, you're going to go through hard things in this life. Because we all do. But I want to make you a promise, kid. You can do it." And he would always say that. Yeah. No matter what it is. You can do it. Yeah. You keep going. Don't you dare give up. Yeah. And so when I wrote a song about living with MS, I had to call it, in honor of my grandpa, "I Can Do This." Yeah. And it's a message that comes from my heart. Because it isn't easy. And I try to do these reminders, and the music helps remind me that how blessed I truly am. I remember really quick, I remember being in my chair at my parents' house, watching my brother play with his son across the room, right? And I'm dating my wife at the time, knowing that we wanted to have a family and get married. And as I watched this cute Hallmark moment take place, and I'm sitting in this chair and looking at my girlfriend then, my smile vanished. And I asked that burning question of why?
Yep.
And why did this happen to me? Because I don't think that I'm ever going to have what I'm seeing from my brother. That is a powerful question that I learned I am not allowed to ask anymore. Unless I make sure to ask it for every moment of happiness and joy that comes into my life.
Yeah.
And now I realize, man, living with MS, it sounds nuts, but it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me because I know what I can't do. But because I know that, I know what I can do still. I have 3 young kids, and I have a lot to live for and set a bar for them. So when they go through their challenges, which they will, hopefully they have something to hold on to. And that's where this song comes from. I'll sing just a little piece of it. I hope it blesses your day. It's a free download. Go get it or share it with someone that you know is going through something hard. Called I Can Do This.
Okay.
Here's a piece. The day has come. I'm gonna give myself a chance. Fear is gone. This time I'm getting up the fence. Moving on. The wait is over. Yeah, it's my life. This is my life. I can do this. Just stick around, you'll see. Going through this takes every part of me. What I'm feeling down inside, it's like a roller coaster ride. But it's true, yes. I can do this. I want the world to see. I can do this. Hey, look what I have done with me. I'll keep my hands up high on this roller coaster ride, 'cause it's true, yes. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. Go get the song. Hope you dig it, man. And next time, we're singing together.
All right. You got it.
Cool.
Thanks for coming in. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
Okay.
Courtland. Appreciate
Thank you.
Courtland, what a great interview.
David is really inspirational. It was awesome to be able to talk with him about his journey through life and how, seeing his family really inspired him to get better and to motivate other people.
Yeah. Big family.
Yes.
A lot of kids, a lot of grandkids. It was really inspiring to see that. But the message that he carries and carries forward, and the message that he wants everybody to understand is that you can't give up, right? You have to have hope. You have to have inspiration. You have to be there to support each other throughout this journey. And it is a journey. And he's very clear about that. And the song was really fantastic.
It was a really good song, and every day is different. And so the fact that he has all these tools to deal with having MS and to get out there and inspire everyone is really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was so great to have David in the studio. It's great to have you tuning in every week and watching us. And it's really great to have the fine companies behind us to sponsor us to make this all possible. Remember, all of our episodes can be viewed on demand at healthyho360.com, and our podcast can be found in the iTunes store.
Well, we're all over social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. We use the hashtag #RealStories when posting, and we greatly appreciate it if you would do the same. On behalf of Dave Duplay, myself, and the entire HealthyO360 family, we'd like to thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again next week when we're chatting with Dr. Havers from the CDC all about the flu vaccination.